Hey guys, Seeney here and welcome to another video on the Australian Wealth channel where we talk everything stocks, finance, property, you name it, and anything to do with making money we talk about on this channel. So today we're going to talk about the most exclusive property locations in Australia. Now look, if there's one thing that Australia is known for, it's expensive property prices. It was only a couple of years ago that the average property price in Australia was over $1 million. Just the average. It's come down a bit since then, with the average house price being roughly around $800,000, which is still very expensive. Now this is of course just the average, and it's easy to see houses about an hour from the Sydney CBD going for under $500,000. But of course you also have properties that are ranging over $10 million as well. You know, there's the whole spectrum of property prices all over the country. So we're going to be having a look at some of the most exclusive areas across Australia. So some of these are the most expensive, and some of these there's very limited land supply, and that has really driven the price of these particular areas up. So without further ado, let's get started. The most exclusive place for property in Australia is the place where you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. Really helps to get these videos out to more people so they can learn more about the property market or other topics in the finance space. But with that aside, the most expensive residential street in all of Australia is Wolseley Road in Point Piper. So this is situated really close to the city of Sydney. And if you take a look from some of these houses, they're considered some of the best views in the entire country. If you love looking at cityscapes, Point Piper and some of the houses that are up quite high on the hill there are going to give you incredible views of the city of Sydney. So Wolseley Road in Point Piper is home to some of the wealthiest Australians in the country. So for example, Malcolm Turnbull, Frank Lowry, Jack Cowan, and many others live on this street that have either started businesses or are investors. So an apartment in Point Piper goes for roughly $5 million. If you're looking at getting a house in Point Piper, then the average price is about $17 million. So if you're looking to get yourself a house there, you're gonna have to shell out a lot of money. But of course, $17 million is only the average. Some sales have actually gone for up to $70 million in the case of Atlassian's founder, Scott Farquhar. He actually purchased a property there for $70 million. Just have a think about how much money that is for a second. It's a lot of money. So this is definitely one of the most exclusive areas of real estate in the entire country. And of course, with an average price of $17 million, that's really gonna lock a lot of people out of that market. But of course, it's just a residential street like any other. You can of course drive through it and check out the view for yourself. So the next exclusive area that I want to talk about is the Sovereign Islands. So this is a place up north for me. It's about 30 minutes from the Gold Coast and is home to some of the most elaborate mansions in the entire country. So this is kind of situated on the end of Hope Island, about as far out as you can get to see. Now this is an incredible location for a number of reasons. So this is one of the very few gated communities in the country. You can't really get in there unless you're meant to be there. So it has quite a high degree of security for residents that live there. One of the mansions that spread over a few blocks on the Sovereign Islands has an asking price of $45 million. So it's on the market right now. So a 700 meter square parcel of land roughly goes for $2.2 to $2.5 million on the Sovereign Islands, depending on the location of the block and whether it's north facing, south facing, position in the estate. There's a lot of different factors that go into that price. So on the Sovereign Islands, these are all pretty much waterfront properties, and all of these waterfront properties have direct ocean access. It means you can get in your boat and you could travel all the way across the Pacific Island without having to go to the ocean. It's literally right there. And the waters in this area are nice and flat because it's protected by South Stradbroke Island. So I've personally been to this area and it's really remarkable looking at some of the houses. And of course there is very limited land in the Sovereign Islands. There are still some blocks available, but of course, you know, they're very expensive. So the positioning of the estate is really great as well. It's not too far from the Gold Coast and it's also close to Brisbane, yet it's far enough away that there's a good amount of privacy, which is something that a lot of wealthy people really want to make sure that they have. There's a few other suburbs around the Sovereign Islands that also fit into this category of being highly exclusive, such as Sanctuary Cove, Paradise Point, and a few others. Okay, so for the next one, we are heading down south and we're going to TOORAK. So this is the most expensive suburb outside of Sydney, with an average price of $4.6 million for a property. So TOORAK is considered the most wealthy and the most affluent area in all of Melbourne. So it's home to many heavy hitters such as Lindsay Fox, Jerry Ryan, and many others. Even Daniel Radcliffe owns an apartment. So the most prestigious addresses in TOORAK are St George's Road, Lansell Road, Albany Road, and Irving Road. So TOORAK's a little bit different to Sydney, because in Sydney, there's many exclusive suburbs. You've got Point Piper, you've got Vaucluse, Rose Bay, Hunters Hill, Bellevue Hill, many others. But as they say in Melbourne, there's only one TOORAK. So it being the one suburb that's really exclusive in Melbourne, it's home to more millionaires and billionaires than any other suburb in the entire country. So if you like cold weather, then maybe that's the suburb for you. Not for me personally. All right, so now we're gonna jump over to the other side of the country, and we're gonna be looking at property in Western Australia. And the most exclusive suburb in Perth is Dalkeith. So Dalkeith has an average price of $2.2 million for a property. So although Perth has seen a lot of declines in the last few years due to mining downturns, this particular suburb continues to outperform. So Dalkeith is in a great spot if you live in Perth. It's not too far from the city. There's a real ease of access of getting to the water. And it's one of the few suburbs that enjoys the benefits of 3 of Western Australia's best features. And the first one is being on the peninsula. The Swan River surrounds the suburb on 3 sides. So this gives it a little bit more equitable climate. It's a little bit more flat rather than extremes in temperature. Another thing is it remains a very low traffic area. It's a very leafy suburb. There's a lot of trees and a lot of parks in this particular area. And it also has proximity to really high quality primary schools and high schools. So this is a suburb that's really highly sought after for people with school-aged children. So Dalkeith is a fairly small suburb, but even though it is small, it's got over 8 parks, which covers 17% of the entire area of the suburb, which is pretty significant. So for these reasons, Dalkeith is the most expensive suburb in Perth. So Cottesloe is another honourable mention in the Perth area. It's right near the water. It's a fantastic spot near Dalkeith. Okay, number 5 is Hedges Avenue on the Gold Coast. So this is the most exclusive Gold Coast address. It's situated right on the beach just to the south of Surfers Paradise. Hedges Avenue has been dubbed Millionaire Row, and it's very easy to see why. Many of the houses that have hit the market go for over $10 million a pop. And the reason that the prices keep surging here is because there's very little land on the beach that is left to be developed. So what's happened is there's a real shortage of supply, and of course, everyone wants to live right on the beach. So that's driving up the demand, and when there's not much supply, that means people are willing to pay more and more money to get these properties. So they've been driven up so high, in fact, that the suburb record only a few years ago was $27 million. And the kicker is that $27 million was for a half-completed mansion. So Hedges Avenue is a fantastic spot if you love the beach. It's really close to the Gold Coast and of course really close to the airport as well. So all in all, if you can afford it, it's a fantastic place to live. All right, and number 6 on this list is Byron Bay. Now this has become an incredibly exclusive area. The prices have been driven up dramatically in the last few years due to demand from a lot of people. A lot of people are leaving Sydney, are leaving Melbourne, and are looking for better climates to retire in. Now Byron Bay is one of those places that's far enough away from the city, but it's still close. It's about an hour, 2 hours away. So it has a real coastal country town feel without being insanely far out in the middle of nowhere. So a lot of money has moved out of the capital cities and into Byron Bay. Now, of course, this isn't limited to people that are retiring. Many people have built some pretty dramatic mansions in Byron Bay, such as Chris Hemsworth, and also Zac Efron has been known to frequent the area a lot. So the average house price in Byron Bay is $1.4 million. And I think a lot of this price increase is, of course, just getting away from all of the hustle and bustle of the cities into something that's a little bit more relaxed. Of course, Byron Bay is a great tourist town. There's a lot of things going on. So it's a great place to retire and still do things during the day. I think that we're going to see this trend continue in Byron Bay, purely for the reason that a lot of people are starting to retire. You know, the baby boomers are really starting to retire, and they're going to want to be moving out of the cities, away from all the noise and the cold weather in Melbourne in particular, and moving to climates that are a little bit more equitable. I think Byron Bay is one of those great suburbs, so I think we'll continue to see the prices in this particular suburb get driven up more and more as people are willing to pay more and more to get what they want. So Byron Bay has had an average price increase of 8.8% every year, which is great capital growth. This number has decreased this year due to the pandemic, but I'm sure it won't be long and the suburb will be back to growing at a record pace. So of course there's many exclusive suburbs all around Australia. These are only some of them. There's many more that I could discuss, such as Ascot in Brisbane, Mossman, Bondi. There's many, but I think the ones that I've talked about are my personal favourites. So what do you think are some of the most exclusive suburbs in all of Australia? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you think there's any really important ones that I missed out, I'd love to hear from you guys. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Really helps to get these videos out to more people. Really appreciate you guys watching this. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, and we'll see you later.